Coast to Coast Racing League reaches the halfway point for the spring, and Monday Night Madness for week number 6 brings you to Cedar Lake Speedway in Wisconsin. It's got the lake in the middle. We're set for a good one here today as it's Monday Night Madness, brought to you by the Oswego Speedway. We get set to go for our B Division Rebels with the Rebels, brought to you by Langdon Mechanical. It's the Tim Chapman Racing pre-race show on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as you get a nice view of Cedar Lake Speedway, a track with multiple grooves, a track that can always have plans for spectacular finishes in the running. So glad you could join us on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Sakala alongside John Hine. John, it's a beautiful racetrack here at Cedar Lake Speedway. The fountains are going here for tonight, but as we get set to take the green for heat racing, what should we expect for this one?
Well, you touched on it, side-by-side racing, multiple grooves here. You know, sometimes the top is dominant. You can see the middle come in, slider lines work. A track that is just built for action here. So these guys are going to have options, and I expect a good race here because of that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Rebels here so far as we enter this weekend. It's been a fun start to Monday Night Racing as a whole, but the guy everyone's talking about so far throughout the series is Joseph Grandy with 2 wins as the points leader. But there's a guy third in points that could start to close in. That's without the drops, and that's Jeff Fitzpatrick, last week's winner in the 90, his first ever win in the Rebels since Sim Racer Hub.
Yeah, and Fitzy, he's been around C2C for a long time. He's been, not so recent, but he's a long time member. That guy, he's even parked it in the Renegades division, I do believe at. Want to say Fairbury a couple seasons ago, so that's a guy who definitely can get it done.
Boy, that makes me feel old. It's been a while since we've been to Fairbury Speedway. There you see Joseph Grandy in the 518. He's your points leader coming in with just about a 15-point lead on G.J. Boydell without the drops. Fitzpatrick third. He comes in just about 24 points back. That's pretty much the battle we have in points at the moment. Our B division, our up-and-coming division to the Renegades, the Xfinity Series of Monday nights is just about set to go. Heat race number 1 is brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Flatline Racing Bodies, quality racing bodies produced by former NASCAR regional short track champion Dan Chapman in the iRacing hotbed of Clarence, Iowa. The field rolls off and follows the Steve King Foundation pace truck. Let's give you our starting lineup. It's Brian Dickens and John Krupa that make up row number 1. Andy Patton, the general in the Outlaw, Preston Kramer, row 2, but Kramer does not make the call to grid. Move up the inside line, Joseph Grandy and Jeff Fitzpatrick, and then followed by Keith Jackson. Here's how the night is going to go on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Of course, all the lineups for heat races are determined by random draw. Top 4 if over 24 drivers will move to the feature, but our car count's under 24, so everyone will make it in. 8 laps each heat. Winner of heat 1 starts on pole position. If we have over 24 drivers, we'll have our B main set for 10 laps, and we'll give you the amount of drivers that move on. Then a 3-minute warm-up watch that's followed by our features. 30 laps for the Rebels, 35 later tonight for the Renegades. Set to go racing here at the lake, John. Should be a fun one as we're set to go green.
Here we go.
Into turn number 1, Brian Dickens gets a good start. Cody Graham stuck up on the outside rather than be John Krupa correction. It leads to Patton and Grandy and Fitzpatrick side by side for third. But it's Brian Dickens who leads lap number 1 here, John. This time it's Grandy the inside for P3.
Yeah, and you better believe those two know each other's. Oh, a little bit of a right rear there by Grandy coming out. But, you know, those guys know the score, and they know that they're racing each other. They're each other's chief adversary here. So, but, man, I tell you, that really hurt Fitzpatrick. He's falling back a little bit now behind Keith Jackson.
And look closely as well. If you watch the onboard here, John, he's got some damage to that front wing. That right rear got a lot more than we expected, a little bit more severe than we thought.
Well, they just had an update that affected on the damage model for these cars. So, you know what? They're a little bit more frail than what they've been.
Absolutely. Brian Dickens currently with the lead on Andy Patton, a 0.4 of a second advantage over the general. Joseph Grandy in third, Keith Jackson fourth, Albright on the outside trying to get the top end. Same with Joseph Grandi, trying to dust the chocolate chips off. That's something that can play huge later on in the going.
It can. You can start to get your timing down, and that really will help a little bit later on. But the more you get it pushed up there, though, also the bad side of that, the more treacherous it gets. That turn 3 and 4 wall will grab you.
Brian Dickens wins heat 1. He starts on pole. Andy Patton second. Joseph Grandi third. Keith Jackson fourth. Jeff Fitzpatrick rounds out the top 5. Should have 3 heats for you this evening. Heat race number 2 is brought to you by Langdon Mechanical, the second to none heating and air conditioning company in the Hamilton area, and promise our customers our own professionally trained Langdon specialists will be there personally every step of the way. We guarantee your customer satisfaction from start to finish, including sales, installation, and maintenance service of your heating and or cooling system. Every equipment sale, installation, and maintenance service call we make is backed 100% by Langdon. G.J. Boydell with a great pill draw. He starts on pole position for Heat 2, but Boydell has to go to the rear. That moves Trent Verstraeten up to the front row next to Brad White. Dustin Sargent and the mayor, Steve Bixler, make up row number 2, but no call for Sargent to grid, so that moves up John Rayner to the 3rd position. Bixler starts in 4th, Jeremy Paulson 5th, followed by G.J. Boydell in the 6th spot. Drivers tonight follow the Steve King Foundation Pace Truck forward to help the dirt track racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, racing officials, track ops personnel, or the immediate families of those individuals who suffer serious illness, injury, or death. John, a fun heat around the corner.
It is, and the track is starting to come in here, so you're going to have 2 different lines to choose from here, one at the bottom or the top, so buckle up. This will be fun to watch.
Yeah, you already see that inside line starting to slicken up, slicker than we expected it to be at this point. Heat 2 is underway, and it's Verstraeten that gets out to the race lead early. Wait second, Bixler and Rayner wing to wing for 3rd position. The mayor gets away from it cleanly. Rayner tries to hold on for 4th, but he has an opponent in Jeremy Paulson, but it's Trent Verstraeten that leads lap 1, John.
Yeah, the real battle, though, is for that 3rd, 4th, or the 4th, 5th, and 6th position. Those guys are trading feet back there. These are open wheels. You don't really want to do that. Oh,
Ooh,
contact.
Boydell sideways, but saves entering turn number 3. And that drops him all the way down to the last position. Man, that Heat EOL that he had to deal after a penalty from last week for contact, that really may have bit him in the rear end.
Absolutely. But his one saving grace here for him right now is everybody, I do believe, is going to make it here tonight. If they are battling for that 4th position, like that's going to be the chance for the pole.
Oh, Boydell sideways once again. He's just the innocent bystander here at the moment as Paulson and Rayner continue to race each other neck and tooth.
Yeah, I think Boydell will get out in the pit area and walk around his car and make sure there's no bullseyes on that car. He's got to kind of feel like that he's been the victim here a couple of times early on for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Trent Verstraeten, 1 lap to go. Brad White tries to close in on him. You're on board with the Canadian in the 088. White won't be able to make a move. Verstraeten comes to the checkered flag. He'll start from the 2nd position tonight. White comes home to finish 2nd. Bixler 3rd. Paulson 4th. Rayner 5th. Boydell in 6th. And now we move over to heat race number 3, brought to you by Venom Racing, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. One of the Venom Racing drivers, Isaac Salas, and Dean Reynolds, my booth boys normally, want to give hello to them. They are outside of their iRacing rigs. I know Salas, though, at work. However, though, at the same time, he is getting himself pumped up for his Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup. In the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, starting lineup for heat race number 3, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83 with a slideways paint scheme. Next to Nick Shaw in the 58. Row number 2, it's the Bandit, Jesse Bandy. Next to Mike Cranmer. Row number 3, the Detective, Steven Spees. And Cody Groks and Joe Backus in the 46. Cody Graham rounds out the field. He is in the number 2 tonight.
And Spees had an EOL, so he heads to the back, and hopefully he can fare a little better than Boydell did in that last one.
Absolutely. Just checking all my notes here too. confirm, yes, both Speeds and Mike Cranmer with heat EOLs for contact. Set to go green for heat race number 3.
And Marty, you see two different lines right off the bat here. Some of the guys are up high, some are bottom, and as a fan, that's exactly what you want to see.
And it's working really well. Shell's got the lead on the outside, tries to get a run from Jesse Bandy. Right on board here with Brandon Dittmer. 2 laps are in the books. He gets a run around the outside on the Bandit. Oh, Bandy sideways in the Tory tires. Watch out, and no one hits him.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that some guys are trying to diamond coming out of those corners, and what I mean by that is they're driving down the hill, and we saw Boydell get clipped a couple times, and now Jesse Bandy falls victim to that. And when you cut down, if there's somebody down there, you're going to take their nose and shove them down to the inside there.
You see that small diamond Dittmer's trying to do. Rip the top in the first half, then drive it down from the center onward, and it pays off there. Sends it underneath. Slide job from sideways. Oh, when he slide jobs too much, he clips the wall, and we got a big rock breaking out. Cody Grabbins up on his lid, side over side, end over end.
Yeah, Backus just slid up into them. Those guys ran out of room, and man, Steven Spees says thank you very much.
How about this race for the lead still? Nick Schell, Brandon Dittmer, 1 to go. Lap traffic could be a factor here. Schell up on the top side, pays well to his advantage through 3 and 4. Could be a car and backs of the way. Dittmer's up on the wall though, and he could lose second, and he does to Steven Spees. Schell, meanwhile, wins heat 3. Spees second, no Dittmer until now, where he finishes 3rd. Bandy 4th. Backus rounds out the top 5.
Wow.
That was
that one had its share of action, didn't it?
And it did. So now we go to our Osh Weekend Speedway warm-up watch here. Feature coming up next on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We'll keep it right here with you. Checkers are out on warm-ups, and G.J. Boydell is the quickest with an 11.999, but he has to start from the rear of the field. Let's get set to go racing, and let's meet the field in the Super Dirt Car Series starting lineup. On the front row, Brian Dickens in the 122 and Trent Verstraeten in the 88. Row number 2, Nick Schell in the 58 and the General Andy Patton in the 87. Row 3, Brad Waite in the 814 and the Detective Steven Spees in the 55. Row 4, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518 and the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. Row 5, it's the Spider Monkey, Brandon Detmer in the 83 and Keith Jackson in the 113. Row 6, Jerry Paulson in the 00 and the Bandit, Jesse Bandy in the 57. Row number 7, Jeff Fitzpatrick in the 90 and JR John Rayner in the 302. Row 8, Joe Backett in the 46, John Krupa in the 98. Row number 9 is G.J. Boydell in the 014 and Cody Graham in the number 2. 3 drivers do not take the green here at the start instantly. They may file up later on. Preston Cranmer, Dustin Sargent, and Mike Cranmer from 19th through 21st. As the field rolls off here for the first of 2 pace laps, Professor, who's your pick to win?
Oh, man. This is going to be a tough one, but you know what? I am going to say Trent Verstraeten. You know, he's up front there. He's really good in these cars, and I think he's really good in these conditions. So I'm going to go with old Trent up there. I think he's due.
Let's know who you're picking to win and who you're rooting for. Hello to Jacob Masso, rooting for Cody Graham and John Krupa. Masso as well, our Raiders winner from earlier tonight. Chad Cote says, John and Marty, how we doing, gentlemen? And Dino says, hi, Marty from North Carolina. Field makes their way down the back straight.
And Dean can say hi to you. I see how that is. I'll remember that. 79 just went on my list. 790.
Set for the green flag. Underway. It's the start brought to you by Lucy Olson off of turn 2 with Verstraeten and Dickens wing to wing. Nick Schell on the bottom and the bottom step of the podium. 3 wide for 4th behind, but it's Verstraeten that leads the opening circuit. Schell tries to get some bite off at turn 2. The low line is working well on his way, John, as he looks for P2 on Dickens. Oh, he got caution. Backus, there is Jackson. I'm hearing Bixler and Paulson also involved. So at least a 4-car incident on lap number 2. You see Paulson's lost the top wing. Jackson lost the front wing. Here's a look.
Yeah, Jackson got into trouble all the way back in turn 2 of the lap before, and he might have had some damage. And he bounced off the wall pretty good.
It started with the Mayor of Bixler getting loose. Let's ride on board with Steven.
Yeah, spun those tires coming out of 2.
Yep. And he got into Paulson.
And Jackson was back there. He started towards the front, but the lap before, as I was saying, he got into the wall and he dropped like a rock. Unfortunately for him, he had to take a tow.
You see Backus uses its quick repair to get the front wing back.
And to straighten that car out. That thing looked like it was trying to spin out in the middle of the straightaway.
Absolutely. While we are at it, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our charity event coming up in just a couple weeks' time, and it's the Chris Yacklin Memorial Super Dirt Week, the 2nd annual one. Supporting veterans at Mission 22. We've got small blocks and big blocks, the dirt track of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Top 5 payout and door prizes. It's from April 25th to the 27th. That's a Tuesday through Thursday. Tuesday's qualifying night with heat races and time trials. Wednesday is last chance showdowns and pole shuffles. Championship night Thursday, 75-lap championship feature for 358s and 100 laps for the big blocks. And I'll watch it right here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. First double file restart, lap 2 in the books for Verstraeten and Dickens. Bring them back to green in the Mission 22 restart zone.
Wasted no time going 3
wide. Look out, mid-pack. Bandy's around. Everybody saved it. I don't know how.
Bandy's got damage. He can't turn his car.
Yeah, heavy impact for Bandy, and he's going to have to put it to a stop. And because of that, that brings out the caution. and he has to tow the thing at once it gets into the infield.
Yeah, I keep seeing him lighting the back tires up, and that car is just not going.
Yeah, he broke the
I have
axle
never.
off that. That is a broken axle on the 57, and I agree, John. I have not seen anything like that ever. Here's a look there. Man, Fitzpatrick took a lick too in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know how Bandy gets into the pits. He's trying.
He's creeping around like a turtle. You can't see it right now as we're showing you replay. But you can see as well the left front. Oh, he's got a tow it now. We just came back in, and in turn one, it was just at a complete 90 degrees from pit road. Well, when you try your best, but you don't succeed.
Yeah, trust me. I'm taking notes here for a little later on. I'm thinking I kind of want to put some kind of, you know, when you go to those go-kart tracks, how they put those bumpers around the
Yeah.
the go-karts. I'm thinking I kind of want one of those.
Yeah, like they do at like pole position raceway or RPM raceway. I gotta get back to the go-kart track. I'm due up. But, all right. So we did complete a lap. 4 laps go up on the board. When we come back to the green, it's the second double file restart. And here we go. For straight and hold serve, Shell and Dickens continue to do get it for the runner-up spot. Ooh, but first straight and clips the wall. Doesn't lose a ton of time. That's still one heck of a battle for P2, John. And we got trouble.
It is. Yeah, but right here in the front stretch, it looks like
No
the mayor
caution.
and John Rayner.
We stay green.
How is that not
Oh,
a
no,
caution?
Steve,
There
be
we go.
careful. And now the caution flies. As
Man, I think they got stuck in that little.
I think they were hooked.
Yeah, there's like a little break in that wall right in front of the flag stand, and yeah, I think they got hooked in that.
Let's look at a couple of things here. First off, apparently we had something with Jeremy Balton. This must have been below the racetrack, or he spun out behind Heath Jackson.
Yeah, well after the fact. I'm kind of wondering if that's not what brought the caution out as long as it took.
Nope, you see it right there. Let's give you another angle of it. Raider just got too much sideways and nowhere for Bixler to go, and you see they're hooked. And yeah, you're right. It's right where that it breaks on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a theme you see all night with guys, you know, coming out of these corners. When you spin your tires at a lot of other tracks, you start to, you know, do sideways, and it's pretty easy to pull yourself out of it. But here, for some reason, when you start to lose that back end, your car darts down towards the inside, and I think that's kind of what happened to Rayner. Just spun the tires, and that car just darted to the inside, and poor Bixler had nowhere to go.
And for those wondering, Rayner will not have a front wing for the rest of this race. I believe he's already used his quick repair. We're back to green. 6 laps in the books for straight and hold serve. First guy up on the top outside the leader is Joseph Granny as he tries to close in on the outside of Shell for third. He's got it for right now. They slightly made contact across the line.
Yeah, we should remind everybody right here, if you're in the top 5 and you're all clear with your IL and no penalties, you can go run the Raider or the Renegades after this. So, you know, maybe being a little clean up there is kind of worth it if you want to race a little bit later. But if you want those points, you gotta go.
And Nick Schell just lost 2 spots. Steven Speed just got past Nick Schell. New fastest lap of the race. Trent first straight in 12:55. Ryan Dickens 12:58, so not too far behind as Grandy caught the wall in the center of 3 and 4. Speeds has a chance at P3, John.
Yeah, Steven actually did a really good job of not getting into him and was able to react, and that could have been catastrophic for the both of them.
And now it's Brian Dickens with a 12:50. In fact, he was 2/10 better than Verstraeten in last lap. 6.5 tenths separate the top 2 as they start to approach lap traffic. First driver is John Rayner, and again, keep in mind he does not have the front wing after the last caution flag. Right on board for a lap with Dickens and show you the speed. Lowest 70 in the corners. Top speed of about 110 miles an hour. These guys go fast. And Verstraeten has to deal with Rayner, and Rayner got the memo. He moves to the bottom.
Yeah, that was a little more close than I think a leader wants to get to a
Ooh,
lap car. That is for
Grandy
sure.
with a tight call with Rayner. Had to get on the binders to avoid hitting him and to avoid causing a caution flag. And this allows Speeds to close in for the bottom step of the podium here.
Yeah, you got to think Rayner's having his hands full, not having that wing, no downforce on the front. Getting that car turned and rotated in the corner is probably a pretty big challenge right now for him.
Straight in now starts to open up the gap, 0.8 of a second, but we continue on with the race for third position. Gap is just about 2 car lengths between Grandy and Speeds here at the moment.
Yeah, that's one of 2 really good battles. The battle right behind them isn't too bad either.
Yeah, that's Nick Show and Brandon Dittmer. You see Dittmer too, has some front bumper bar damage below the front wing, but not playing too big of an issue as he tries to race Shell for breath. Remember, they went at it as we've got Bixler, he has pulled off the racetrack. Remember, they were into it in a fun race in heat race number 3 earlier, John.
Yeah, they sure were, and continuing their battle right here in the main.
And the gap for Dickens has closed down on Verstraeten. It's down to 4.5 dots, but Dickens, both of them actually, I should say, caught the wall. You see Dickens with a big entry into turn number 3. It doesn't really pay off for him the best as we got 10 to go, John. Grandy now starts to clip the wall. They work their way past John Krupa, and it starts to close down even more. Verstraeten rides the wall. Oh boy, this could get good, John.
It is really gnarly over there in 3 and 4 up on the top. I have counted 5 cars within the last lap making contact up there, so it is getting incredibly treacherous up there.
Dickens with a run to the inside. Grandy with a run to the inside for the runner-up spot. And he clears barely on Dickens as the 122 does a wheelie. How bad does Joseph Grandy want this one? He's got 7 laps to go to try and catch Trent Verstraeten here, John.
Yeah, well, he wasn't really clear pulling up, but he made it work. And
But
yeah, he's got just a couple laps, and they got a lot of lap traffic here they're going to have to navigate.
This is nuts when it comes to lap traffic. Now Verstraeten works on Backus, and the 46 ain't letting him making him work for it. And Grandy closes in, half seconds the gap. 5 to go, John.
This is going to get tight. Does Grandy have anything for him? I think he is a little quicker, but catching him is one thing, passing him is going to be another here.
Trent Verstraeten really needs a caution flag right now. He has a better short run car, in my opinion, than Joseph Grandy. Meanwhile, Dickens back to third. Good gap on Steven Spees, 1.5 seconds. Cody Graham has gotten through Dittmer for the 6th position. He's currently a hard charger of 12 spots. 3 laps to go, 4/10 between Verstraeten and Grandy. Next driver is Brad Way, and Verstraeten hits the wall again. Grandy pulled up inside and waits right in front of Verstraeten. John, 2 to go.
Yeah, that's the part that,
my!
oh, man.
This could get tight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you're the leader, you catch somebody, they all of a sudden realize they're a lap down, or they're going to fight to try to keep going, as we got 1 to go.
Here we go. Grandy's there on Verstraeten, and it could come down to lap traffic. Bad exit for Joseph Grandy. Final corners through 3 and 4. Verstraeten, can he get it? Yes, he can. Trent Verstraeten wins it at Cedar Lake. What a race that was, and what a long run to end it.
Nice job. And I was going to say, getting through as a leader is always a little more difficult than second, because once they know they're a lap down, they tend to get out of the way. And man, what a good race. That sure did make for a good one, though.
First win of the season for the driver of the 88.
And we can all remember who picked that 88 to win, right?
Yes, we do.
We got to rewind the tape.
Welcome to my world. I picked Blake to win last week in the Renegades, so second
Nice.
podium of the season, 2 for Verstraeten, was second at Lucas Oil Speedway, where he lost barely to Jesse Bandy. So, but your top 3 are on the podium, and we will get to your finishers here. We'll begin with the driver of the 122 when he shows up, and let's make sure he's not showed up yet. And so stand by for that. But John, man, what a race. Actually, hold the thought. We've got Brian Dickens with us now, so we'll begin with the proceedings and talk with Brian Dickens. Brian, that was a fun one. How was your car in the long run from your perspective this evening?
It was good. Just got messed up on that slider left front. I didn't handle the same after that, so I was just holding on to it.
Do you feel like you had a chance at Trent for straight in this evening? Really good.
I think I did. I was just trying to pace myself and wait for the right move.
Overall, though, other positives you take away from this one, you had a good podium, and you got a chance at running with the Renegades. And oh man, we just showed the replay of that wheelie. Man, that was a close call. Holy
Yeah,
moly!
yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, what any other positives you take away from this one?
Just had fun, man. Just jumped in at the last minute, had a fun time.
Absolutely. Let's double check something else here real quick. What are you expecting as well for Renegades later tonight? And you gonna plan on racing it?
Um, yeah, I think I'll jump in it. I wasn't planning on it, but I think I'll jump in.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
The Hammer Down Racing guys, Brandon, Kurt, and Joe. Dirt Track Bank for everything they do. Uh, GY6RN Racing Network. M9 Performance. I definitely couldn't run up here without these guys. Got to give them a shout out for sure. And you, Marty, for doing this as always. One of the best. And thanks for everyone at C2C.
Appreciate it, man. We'll let you go. Great job tonight.
Thanks, man.
Third place finish for Brian Dickens. Let's go to our second place finisher in Joseph Grandy. Joseph, man, oh so close. You had a great car from 7th to 2nd tonight. What more did you need for Trent in the final laps?
Probably a couple more laps. I want to apologize to Brian there. I didn't mean to cut in front of him. I was trying to let off enough to give him room, but my car didn't slow down as much as I thought it would.
Did you feel like as well, if a yellow flag came out, that you would have a shot at Trent first rain, or did you feel like that Trent had a better short run car than you?
Yeah, I'm horrible at starts. I think everybody knows that. I'm better off in the long run. Longer the laps, better I run.
That lap traffic nearly gave you a chance at it too.
It got me nervous too. Yeah, that was a fun race. That was a really good race there. I enjoyed it.
Well, you
Hey,
go ahead.
it's Roger Craig here, just jumping in.
He photobombed it.
Yeah, I wanted to bomb it here because I know you're talking about the big event coming up next week with the Dirt Mods, the Super Dirt Week. But while Joseph's in here, I just want to give a big shout out to the Grandy family. They've stepped up, and their Catalyst Recovery CR company is going to be the title sponsor, and a huge shout out to those guys. It means so much to Mission 22, and just underlines the class that we've got in this league. So thanks a lot to you, Joseph, and your family. And I'm here. Your dad's coming out, so we're looking forward to seeing your dad out there. Maybe we'll get him in the retreads.
Yeah, he's gonna give it a shot. He's an old asphalt pro, but dirt, I think he needs a bit of practice. So.
Well, we really appreciate it, buddy, and just wanted to jump in here and say thanks.
I appreciate you guys too.
Joseph, real quick before we let you go, who do you want to give shout outs to on the run?
First, foremost, Catalytic Recovery, the guys over at Train Wheels Racing, West End Towing Repair. I'd like to thank you, Marty and John, for doing a broadcast, coast to coast, all their sponsors, and all the guys behind the scenes.
All right, man. We'll let you go. Great job tonight. Hopefully we're seeing the Renegades.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Joseph Grandy, our second place finisher. Now we move on to Extreme East Speed TV Victory Lane. Your race winner this evening is Trent Verstraeten. Trent, man, oh man, what a race. But that long run was not easy for you.
No, it definitely wasn't. There was a few close calls there with the wall and a lap car, but we were able to hold on for it and get the win.
Did you feel like you had a better short run car than a long run car? I asked Grandy his perspective, and he felt like that you did.
Yeah, I definitely did. There, once we'd get into the long runs, especially later in the race, I was just, missing my marks and tapping the wall. There was one time in 3 and 4, I really got the wall good and made me lose a lot of my speed. But yeah, so those cautions at the start definitely were helping me get off to a good jump and keep my lead.
Isn't this a track in Cedar Lake that you're a huge fan of? Because I swear I've seen you win at this track like so many times in the Coast to Coast Racing League, whatever car it is.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite tracks for sure. Definitely probably not in the sprint cars. I'm more of like for the mods. It's probably my favorite track. But yeah, even the sprints, I seem to always have a good run here.
What are you expecting for this Renegades one coming up shortly? And let me just double check my notes here. You got a plan on running it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get in there. Honestly, I'm not too sure what to expect. It's been a while since I've ran with those guys. Kind of just expected the same, where the top's gonna be the most dominant, and I'm just gonna go in there, hope for a good pill draw, and hope for the best.
Who do you want to give shout outs to on the run?
Just Roger and everyone behind the scenes, Coast to Coast for putting on the league, and you and John for broadcasting.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you go. Congratulations. Great win.
Thank you.
Trent Straighten with the win in Extreme eSpeed TV Victory Lane. Congratulations to him on the run. Let's get an opportunity to pull up your official results from this evening. Let's just make sure that they show up here on replay, which they do. Straighten takes home the win. Joseph Grandy second. Brad Dickens third. Steven Spees fourth. Nick Shell fifth. They were able to transfer up as long as their IL is under 200. Brandon Dittmer, 6th. Cody Graham from 18th to 7th is the Flatline Racing Body's Hard Charger Award. GJ Boydell, 8th. Andy Patton, 9th. And Keith Jackson rounds out the top 10. Your 3 drivers did not begin this race. Mike Cranmer, Dustin Sargent, and Preston Cranmer. And we had 2 drivers DNF out of this one, Steve Bixler and Jeremy Paulson. So, John, we will move over to the Renegades. Another fun race with you in the booth, and best of luck tonight in this one.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we'll put on a good show for you guys, and hopefully I'll be back up here before too long. Talk to you from the podium over Victory Lane.
Absolutely. So we will step aside here. Before we go to commercials, just want to give a quick heads up here. When you watch the Super Dirt Car Series ad, their next race is not at Can-Am. Next race is at the Bridgeport Motorsports Park, which should be a good one. Make sure you watch that one on Dirt Vision. That is April 23rd. Oh boy, you're in for a treat with that one. So we'll step aside. Renegades coming up next, the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
Before they go fast and start to power slide, we salute you with the big blocks 4 wide, the crowd pounding, earth shaking, window rattling beast of the Northeast. It's the big block modified Super Dirt Car Series.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
Olsen, she has her first point.
Yeah, Lucy Olsen, talented sophomore.
Before they go fast and start the power slide, we salute you with the big blocks 4 wide, the crowd pounding, earth shaking, window rattling beast of the Northeast. It's the big block modified Super Dirt Car Series.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
Olsen, she has her first point.
Yeah, Lucy Olson, talented sophomore. Welcome back here to the Coast to Coast Racing Network as you take a look overhead from Cedar Lake Speedway. The sunset already happening, not under the lights yet because of the early start time, but we are set for the Renegades. The Renegades brought to you by Dylan Westbrook Racing. Marty Scala with you on the call. So glad you could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Well, we are just about ready for a good one with the Renegades, and my goodness, we've got a huge car count for the A Division at Cedar Lake Speedway. 31 drivers check in for this one. While we have a couple of minutes, let's talk a little bit more about Super Dirt Week that we've got coming up in a couple weeks from now. As Roger mentioned earlier before we went to our intermission, it's brought to you by Catalytic Recovery, and we can't thank them enough for their support. It's from April 25th to 27th. If you register before April, the registration's $15 for a division, $20 for two. And if you sign up before April 6th, and yes, that's how much it costs right now. Again, we mentioned it's April 25th through the 27th. All activity begins at 7 p.m. You got 358 in big blocks qualifying. We also have heats for those two. We also have qualifiers for volunteers and veterans and first responders. Last chance showdown on pole scramble will be on Wednesday. 358 the big blocks. The features 7 p.m. The 358s have a 75 lap feature. Big blocks with a 100 lap feature. Payouts: first place driver wins $50 in a trophy and in increments of $10 for the top 5. It's a charity for veterans and Mission 22. It's the Chris Yaklin Memorial. Chris was a friend of Preston Kramer, a retired Marine who took his life last year. And as you know about Mission 22, 22 veterans commit suicide each day. Mission 22's goal is to reduce that number to 0. Show our support for our veterans who have sacrificed so much for our freedom. But we're in for a fun one. I can't wait for it and to see how it goes down. Want to thank some more of the sponsors for the support. We do have some raffle giveaways too. Valhalla Mobile with 4 $25 gift certificates. Epsilon, Sprint Wraps, Velocity Race Design, and Young & Creations doing a wrap. Raven Graphics with hero cards. $30 gift certificate by ABR Setup Shop. We also have, in addition for supporters too, I believe those may be all of them. Oh wait, we got more A&J Custom Creations, Flatline Racing Bodies, Mauer Farm Management, as well as Cadillac Recovery. Thank them all for their support. So we get set for the Renegades here at the moment, and we have had a lot of fun watching these Renegades. And the team that's currently kicking butt at the moment is the Kreitz Sim Racing team. 2 weeks ago, we had Terry Landis take the checkered flag at the Port Royal Speedway. Last week at Lernerville, the salesman Blake Chapman took home the checkered flag in that one for his first win in a while. I guess you could say that at least. It's been a while since we've seen him take the checkered flag in a victory like that. So your point standings coming in look like this, and this is without the drops. And next week we'll give you points with drops, unofficial. Patrick Spangler currently has the points lead all to himself, 356 to 294. Ross Carina is second in the standings. Third in points is Chad Cote. Cote with 293 points. Mentioned Terry Landis is fourth in the standings. Landis with 260. He is in a tie with Kyle Moonen for the fourth spot. And when you look at everything coming on into tonight, when you look at the car count that we normally have for Renegades, Renegades has a total of 29 drivers entering the season that can only race in Renegades. You add on 5, that's 34. We have 31 drivers show up. That is amazing. I can't wait to see what plays out here. I believe 4 heats in this one. We'll have up to 8 drivers at most. We should have a heat, our final heat, that should have 7 drivers in it. Let's get set for Heat 1. Heat race number 1 is brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Starting lineup looks like this. Front row gives you Brandon Templeton and Brian Dickens. Row number 2, Gentleman Jack Hitt and Superman Kurt Schatzer. Row 3 is Shorty John Short and Chris Schaefer. And round out the field for this heat, the Desert Demon Terry Landis and Ross the Boss Carreno. They'll compete for pole this evening. Again, if you're new to the Coast to Coast Racing League, here's how our events work out. The heat lineups are determined by a random pill draw. Top 4 drivers will transfer to the feature out of 8-lap heats. Everyone else goes to the last chance showdown. The B main is 10 laps. We will be taking 8 drivers from the B main. That gives us 24 drivers for our 35-lap feature. Again, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Dean says, I didn't know the professor was also on when I typed the hi Marty from North Carolina. And Dean said he'll be running 315 Big Block Mission 22 tribute cars for Super Dirt Week. Love it. And Gary Sigelcow says, thank you, Joe. So you see the 8 drivers that will compete for pole position. 1 to go until we take the green flag. Templeton and Dickens bring us to the green flag. And here we go. Side by side off of turn number 2. Templeton didn't get a good start. Allows Schatzer to take second. Schaefer may be able to take third spot off of turn 4. Dickens leads lap number 1. Schaefer with around the outside. That's the play. Oh, look out! Wheeling and a hard crash for Schatzer. Up and over he goes. And Superman went for a flight, however, though he was stopped by a concrete wall with catch fronts. Dickens with the lone 11-second lap. He is checked out from Brandon Templeton, Chris Schaefer, and John Short. That's your top 4 at the moment. We watch the race between Short and Hint for the 4th position. While we are at it, let's watch quickly Schatz's wild ride. This is off of turn 4. You'll see it happen off turn 2. Schaefer did the wheelie. He's just surprised that, oh my, that is a hellacious shot into the inside Jersey barrier. And turtles up. And this gap between John Short is 0.7 of a second. The race is on for 6. Terry Landis and Ross Corina. 1 lap to go. Dickens with a second lead on Brandon Templeton. Looking to start on the front row once again, like he did in the Rebels. Off turn 4, he'll do it. Dickens wins it. 2nd to Brandon Templeton. 3rd, Chris Schaefer. 4th, John Short. So now we move on to heat race number 2. Heat 2 brought to you by Langdon Mechanical. It's Lowline Master Brennan Lacey with an amazing pill draw. Next to Devo, Donovan Ross in the 5. Row number 2, the Macho Man, Tyler Wilson. Next to the Professor in John Hine. Row number 3 is Barry Goldner and Jack Clevenger. And in row 4, Bodygun and Joseph Grandy, 100 grams. And I can see why Randy Shreves in the chat just said, fire the pill draw lady. Well, in the words of the bottom of the top wing of Brennan Lacey, I don't give a you-know-what. Oh, boy. I think we know who's got the best chance of winning this one. The only way Brennan Lacey will lose this race, in my opinion, is if he runs out of fuel, or has an issue with lap traffic, or hits a Tory tire on the bottom. But I doubt any of that's going to happen. We'll see what goes down. Lacey and Hine will bring the field to green. Heat 2 is underway. You see Lacey gets the jump as Hine and Wilson are wing to wing for 2nd position. Lacey decides to work the cushion early here, doesn't want to take the risk on the low line as Brennan leads lap number 1. Nice drive for the Macho Man off turn 2, just about cleared Hine to take 2nd spot away. Clevenger looks underneath, but Joseph Grandy all over Clevenger for the 4th spot. Oh, bad exit for Tyler Wilson, falls back to 4th. It's going to allow Grandy to take away the final transfer spot, which he does. 4 cars under a blanket for 2nd position. And now, oh, Hyde rides the wall. Bad corner from the Professor, and he loses 2nd all the way down to the 5th spot. Well, that race for second is still insane at the moment. 3 wide in turn 4. Clevenger up on the top. Randy tucks it back in line in the 3rd spot. And Brendan Lacey has pulled away from the troops. With an 11:64 lap. And let's go to the race for the final spot. John Hine against Tyler Wilson. 1 lap to go. Hine up the track. Wilson with an opportunity to take the 4th spot away. Does he slide job John Hine? They hold it side by side to the line for the final spot. And it's Tyler Wilson, Lacey, Clevenger, Grandy, and Wilson transfer into the feature. Next up is heat race number 3, brought to you by Venom Racing. Starting lineup is the salesman Blake Chapman, coming off of his win in the feature last week at Lunarville. Next to Nick Shell. Row number 2 is the Brewer to Beast, Jeff Barker and Jeff Kemper. Row 3, our Rebels winner, Trent Verstraeten, and the New Hampshire Rocket in Aiden Young. Rounding out the field is the Bassman, Roger Craigett. Oh, okay, I see why Randy Shreve says fire the pill draw lady. Randy Shreve starts in 8th. I apologize, Brennan, about that. Randy Shreve was doing that to himself. I wish Randy could have followed up on that, but it's all good. It's all good. Joe Canella says, let's go, John Hine. And then he says, I jinxed you, John. Sorry, because he did not make it out of the top 4. One to green. We are set to go. I believe Steve King Foundation pace truck pulls in right here, right now. Winner starts at the inside of row number 2. Chapman with a good start. Same with Jeff Barker. Again, high sides where you want to be as Chapman clears. Barker nearly comes up in front of Shell for the runner-up position. Shell nearly hits the wall in turn 3, and Barker clears. It's Chapman, Barker, Shell, and Kemp in the top 4. A hornet's nest for second on back. Chapman is checked out of the hotel big time. Kemper rides the wall for straight and goes on his lid. Up and over, and he's out of this one. And now we focus on the race for 4th. Shell against Shreve. That's a battle for 3rd position, rather. Right aboard with Aiden Young. He's currently the first one out. And all over the tail tank of Shell. Look at the run for Shreves all the way up 6 spots from last to 2nd. See, clears Barker for now, but Chapman has a 2.2 second advantage. Look at the run for Shell off the corner, but he's back in 5th. Aiden Young has the final transfer spot. Look at Roger Craig, despite the top wing damage on the 747 and 6th spot, all the way on the bottom of Shell. Green wide for the final spot. And Shell takes it as he goes 2 for 1 at the grocery store. 2 laps to go, and now Barker underneath the 58. What a race for the final transfer spot. Shreves has 2nd, Young has 3rd. 1 lap to go. You know who's going to win it. It's the salesman. Oh, Kemper with a big set, nearly 4 wide in turn 2. Jeff Barker, Nick Shell, or the field. Pick your driver off turn 4. 3 wide behind. Barker or Shell? I think it was Nick Shell by about 1/10.5. Wow, that was close. I honestly don't even know. We're going to have to go to the pit lane and pull up our photo finish cam and adjust this, so bear with us here, ladies and gentlemen, as let's take a look at how close this was. Shell gets Barker off the final corner for the final transfer spot. Wow. That was fun. All right. Field is rolling off for heat race number 4. Final heat race brought to you by Malware Farm Management, the official sponsor of the Retreads 55 Plus division. Kyle Sargent and the high side banger Patrick Spangler make up row number 1. The Outlaw Preston Kramer next to Jeff Flero on row number 2. Row 3 is Pink Panther, Jesse Atkinson, and Jeff Flero in the 200. And the Goose Chad Cote rounds out the field. Taylor, though, starts from the rear as he has a heat EOL. Set for the green flag. Final heat race is underway here at Cedar Lake Speedway right now. Who gets the drive off turn 2 first is Kyle Sargent. Spangler stuck in second. As he looks for a run on the outside, tries to find the hole. Can he pull up underneath? He cannot. Sargent leads the opening lap. Cranmer and Flero side by side for third. Nice low line from Cranmer. It seems like that bottom groove is starting to come in just a bit better than it did in the Rebels event. Cranmer hangs on to third. Here goes Spangler underneath. Slide job up by Kyle Sargent potentially. Decides not to go for it. Tucks it back up, allows Kramer to go underneath. Great lap for Spangler last time by, though. A 12:26, best lap we have seen in this heat. Final transfer spot is wing to wing. Flero and Cote for just a moment. A pair of Canadians for the final spot, eh? Cote tries underneath, back to the race lead. Spangler underneath that Kyle Sargent. That low line just is not working out for him one bit. He needs to keep it on the high side, try and find the hole. Sargent's just not going to give it up. He may have to slide job Kyle Sargent for this one. Or even force the 91 into making a mistake. He's maybe trying to fake low and go high, but you see there, clipping the wall, just not going to do it. I think he's setting it up for 3 and 4. I think he's going to. Sargent loose off the corner. Spangler fakes high, goes low, slide job. Spangler photo finish the line. Spangler got him by 200ths of a second. Who doesn't love this place? Cranmer and Flero, the final transfer spots in. Oh, baby. Take a look at this once again. Off the photo finish cam. Sargent had a huge run right there. Man, by like half of the front wing. So now we move on to the Last Chance Showdown brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. We've got 15 drivers on this one, and we're taking the top 8. So the middle driver, the middle man, makes it in. Here's the lineup. Gentleman Jack Hitt and the Professor John Hine on row number 1. The Brute to Beats Jeff Barker and the Goose Jet Cote, row number 2. Row 3, the Desert Demon Terry Landis and Devo Donovan Ross. Row 4, the Bassman Roger Krug and the Captain Gary Taylor. Row 5, Ross the Boss Corinna and Bob D. Good. In row 6, Jeffrey Kempfer and the Pink Panther and Jesse Atkinson. Row number 7, Superman Kurt Schatzer and Barry Goldner. And from 15th last on the grid is Trent Verstraeten. Top 8 make it into the big show. How bad do you want it? We'll focus on the 8th place driver once we conclude lap number 1. Gonna be a late start from Hitt and Hine. We're green. Hit with a nice jump, 3 wide from 4th on back as Cote gets away from the midst of it, and we got one in a wheelie at 4. Terry Landis, lot of beating and banging, and everyone keeps it straight for right now. Corinna with the final transfer spot, now make it Jeff Kemper as he tries to pass on the bottom. Corinna on the outside with a final transfer spot. Kenny gets the run going on Roger Craig perhaps for the 7th position. The high side's where you want to be, but it's stacked up. Landis stuck in the middle. 3 wide for 5th. Jesse Atkinson, the Pink Panther top shelf, where Mama hides the cookies. Rogers the first one out, but then he looks underneath. Talladega's coming up next week, boys. You want to save it for later. Jack Hett rides the wall. He's back at 8. Atkinson with a run underneath, making Kurt Schatzer for the final spot. We're 4 laps in the books. Contact from 7th on back. Everyone keeps it straight for right now. Schatzer and Craig battling it out for the 7th position. Here comes the Pink Panther up on the outside. And Craig has 7th and clear Schatzer for right now. Kemper and Atkinson race for the 9th position. Oh, Schatzer fights the wall for straight and crashes. He's out of it. Schatzer rolls the top, nearly gets tight. Gets the power to hold on to 8th. Ross Corinna quickest car up to 2nd. And we got one again that's racked that maybe for straight. And nope, he jumped into the fence. Jeff Barker now in the final transfer spot as Schatzer made the pass. Kemper tries to throw the needle, contact, and there goes Kemper and Barker. They save it. Unbelievable stuff. It cost them a lot of time with 2 to go. Atkinson slide job Schatzer. They better know it's a race for 7th. And Schatzer pays the price. And now Atkinson pays the price and collects Kemper. And they're out of it. Schatzer with heavy damage. Barry Goldner, Jackhead, Barker goes around. Barry Goldner takes 7th. Who's gonna get on this one? Gary's got a chance. Gary's got a chance. The captain out of nowhere is gonna make it into the big show. What the hell just happened? Unbelievable stuff. Out of the bottom half of the field, they were all rated for the 8th spot, and they all got part of a wreck somehow. Madness. Chaos in the late stages of the Last Chance Showdown at Cedar Lake Speedway. Everyone else will probably be drinking a Miller Lite in Wisconsin at the stands. Features coming up next to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's the warm-up watch brought to you by Oshweekend Speedway. Checkers are out here, and it's Brennan Lacey the quickest. Who's ready for this one, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Extreme eSpeed TV, the Coast to Coast Racing League, and all the fine drivers and sponsors, we thank you for choosing to spend your Monday night with us. It's now time to meet the field of 24, ready to take the green for 35 laps at Cedar Lake Speedway. Here is your Super Dirt Car Series starting lineup. On the front row, it's Brian Dickens in the 122 and Brennan Lacey in the 414, the Lowline Master. Row number 2, the Salesman, Blake Chapman in the 20, and the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39. Row number 3, Brandon Templeton in the 31, and Jack Clevenger in the 78. Row 4, Randy Shreve in the 56, and Kyle Sargent in the 91. Row 5, Chris Schaefer in the 23, and 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Row 6, the New Hampshire Rocket, Aiden Young in the 69, and the Outlaw, Preston Cranmer in the 07. Row 7 is Shorty, John Shore in the 51, and the Macho Man, Tyler Wilson in the 42. Row 8 is Nick Shell in the 58, and Jeff Flero in the 200. Row number 9, Ross the Boss Corinna in the 10, and the Professor, John Hine, in the 71. Row number 10, Donovan Ross, Devo in the 5, and Chad Coates and the Goose in the 11. Row number 11 is Terry Landis, the Desert Demon in the 161, and the Bass Man, Roger Craig in the 747. Rounding out the field this evening is the Captain, Gary Taylor in the 34, and Barry Golner in the 36. One to go before we take the green flag, 35 laps. Here at Cedar Lake Speedway, there's always a favorite. Pick it ASAP. Who's it going to be? How's it going to be done? Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? From coast to coast at the Cedar Lake Speedway, Dickens and Lacey will bring the field to green. We're at the halfway point of the season, and it's showtime in Cedar Lake, Wisconsin. Three wide off turn 2, the start of the race brought to you by Lucy Olson. Brennan Lacey bangs off the wall. Brian Dickens leads the opening lap. Trouble behind, Roger Craig, Tyler Wilson were under caution. Wilson's lost the top wing. Lap 1 should count, and everyone makes it into the pits. Let's see what happened with Wilson. He was running just outside the top 10. Contact with Cranmer and Flero. Around he goes. Help from Landis and Roger Craig. And up and over goes the Macho Man. You see Landis also involved in the incident too. See the contact there. It's just a man. It's just a target on Tyler Wilson there. Here's the Bass Man and Roger Craig. Nowhere to go. It was just an accordion effect. Alrighty. Lap did count. Brian Dickens, Brennan Lacey, row 1. Patrick Spangler, Blake Chapman, row 2. Brandon Templeton, Jack Clevenger, row 3. Randy Shreve, Joseph Grandy, row 4. Chris Schaefer, Aiden Young round out the top 10. 2 laps go up in the books as we're set to come back to green. Mission 22 restart. Patrick Spangler in the 3rd position. As the front 4 single file. Templeton the first one on the bottom. We've got a yellow. Jeff Flero and something after the yellow. One car flips hard. It's Gary Taylor. A lot of stuff broke out. And it was extracurricular activity too. Let's try and break it down for you here. Here's Jeff Flero first. This was the reason for the yellow. Contact with Ross Corinna. around with the boss, and there you see Preston Cranmer. And then in front of him, it was just on. And watch the captain, and Gary Taylor. Captain takes flight. Now, something happened after the this is what happened here. Watch Schaefer. I don't know if he went around here. Him and Shreeds made contact after the yellow. Schaefer catches the wall, and right in front of it, as an innocent bystander, was Nick Schell. Let's know your pick to win the chat as well. Hello, Stephen Goldner, who was rooting for anyone off the Vanderbilt Racing Squad. Dickens and Lacey, row 1. Spangler Chapman, row 2. Templeton Clevenger, row 3. Shreves Grandy, row 4. Schaefer and Young round out the top 10. Here we go for another Mission 22 restart. 3 laps in the books. Dickens up to the top, holds serve. Lacey tries to use the power and close in. Half a car length separate the top 2. Lacey tacks the wall for a moment. Can it open up the door for Spangler, perhaps? No, it doesn't. Dickens better by a couple of hundreds last time by, but Brennan Lacey, anywhere he goes, he is a threat to win it. Dickens opens up the door for Lacey. Not sure who let it at the line. Lacey was 3/10 better than Dickens off of turn 2. Gary Taylor has crashed in, no caution. He gets it to the infield. We stay under the green flag. And now the caution comes out as he was approaching the infield. Now who had the lead at the last lap is the question. Was it Lacey or was it Dickens? It's going to be close. Let's take a look at the photo finish cam. And just see here who was leading. And it was Brennan Lacey who secured it right there. All right, now that we got that figured out, here's what happened with Gary Taylor. And he has already used his quick repair after the flip. Caught those Uke tires on the inside, single car spin. And as he was trying to get in the infield out of harm's way, leaders were coming by and no choice but the yellow to come out. So single file restarts the rest of the way. And it's Brennan Lacey, your race leader here at Knoxville. And Lacey's looking for his second win of the season. We've had 5 different races and 5 different winners. Can we have our first repeat winner of the season, perhaps? We're back to green. Lacey holds serve as he starts to try and pull away from Brian Dickens. Run for Spangler, and Spangler turns Dickens. Clevenger gets a piece of it with the left front, and Devo's hard in the wall. Oh, and you know Spangler's going to feel gutted. He did not. You know he didn't mean to do that one bit. And what that likely will mean for Spangler is next race, possibly to the rear for that. That's it. So Spangler may have a lot of work cut out for him next week. Show you once again, you were watching it live. Spangler with her on the inside. He just set it too deep. He thought that Dickens would have cleared him, and it's just unfortunate to see that happen. But Patrick Spangler moves up into P2. He's on board with the 122. Right there. And there's Clevenger, and that is a lot of, man, 2 hits that he took. Donovan Ross, also an innocent bystander with nowhere to go. Back to green. So Patrick Spangler moves up into the second position. with the restart. Here's the race for third. Templeton against Chapman. The salesman, remember, he won last week. Go back to back, perhaps. Joseph Grady in fifth. Tries to pull up underneath on Brandon Templeton. Cannot make the pass work, though. Cote, how about this run that the Goose is having? Only on lap number 10. He started in 20th, and he's in 8th. Great run for him early. Templeton lost third, and now he fights Grandy from fourth position. Remember, Joseph, he finished in the runner-up spot in our Rebels feature. Nice side-by-side racing in turn number 3. Templeton washes up the racetrack. This could bring in both Short and Aiden Youngin, who are wing-to-wing for 6th. And Templeton clears the 518 for right now, and Grandy could get stuck in the middle in a near 3-wide situation. Short with an opportunity. As he take a look from the Young Gun Creations drone. Young looks for a run around the outside, and he can't get it to work. Grandy tries to avoid getting slide jobbed by Templeton. And 100 grand hangs on to 4th position. Meanwhile, your leader is Brennan Lacey, 14 laps complete. And he's got a 1.3 second advantage on Patrick Spangler. First driver he approaches for lap traffic. It's Gary's here. Look at him wheeling and dealing it. Up on the high side. The Spangler line, too. He has been able to figure that out very well. Here's Short and Templeton, who are 5 seconds behind. That's the race for 5th. Short start in 15th, or rather 13th. And he's up to 5th. And he secured the pass on Templeton at the line. Nearly shut the door on him, but decided, you know what? I don't think I would have had him cleared. Let's stay side by side. Slider from Howell. And they slightly make contact, and around goes both of them. Aiden Young tries to pass them both, and Ross Carrena and some extracurriculars and even more. That was a 2-car wreck that should not have turned into a 6-car accident. Well, unfortunately, the slider from hell has played a lot more dividends. And so there you see it, the contact from Short and Templeton. They saved it, and then Young and Templeton. That's just a racing deal, unfortunately, in that situation. Then there's Ross Corinne, and Ross is just in the middle of the track. No one's trying to figure out where he's going to go. And all of a sudden, they just plow out of nowhere into him. On board, Brandon Templeton. Had to get off the throttle there. Pulls up underneath, and there is John Short. Boom, and there's Ross Carrena. And there's Barry Goldner. He's right on board with the boss. He thought that he was going to gas it where he could escape barely. Unfortunate. Nowhere to go was Ross Carrena. And because of that, that is a quick repair he has to use. Coming back to the green flag. 19 laps are complete. Or check that, 18 laps are complete as Lacey holds serve. Now he doesn't have to do with the lap traffic. Young inside on Granny for the 4th position. Young stuck in the middle of the track. Opens a chance perhaps for John Short. Now, Short did not spin the race car out, but he does have some possible damage. Could be cosmetic, though. He's in 6th position. That gave Cote another spot. He's up 13 into 7th after starting 20th. And the salesman's got company from Joseph Grandy. See the 518 trying to rip the bottom. Everyone up on that cushion. There's nothing in the middle or low grooves anymore. Grandy takes a peek underneath. Does he throw a slide job up on Chapman? A late slide job. They stay side by side. Randy's got control of third in case the yellow were to come out. Now he throws the slider on Chapman. Too much of a slider. And he bangs the outside wall and loses 2. May even lose more. Oh, he's got steering issues. John Short takes the spot away. Joseph's in trouble. He is in trouble. Cote could take another spot. Randy may have regained his composure here. He clips the wall again in turn 1. Let's see how the steering looks as you ride on board with Grandy. Looks good, despite a very heavy hit. 2 hits, I should say, into the outside concrete barrier. See if the slide job works on Short for 5th. And it does. Man, he made that look easy. He really did. Now can you get Aiden for 4th is the question. Cote bent off the wall as well, but Clevenger doesn't close in. We got 7 to go. Lacey with a 1.5 second lead as he approaches lap traffic. First guy is Chris Schaefer. We've already started to work on lap traffic. Behind there, I believe is Nick Shell, and it is. That race for the bottom step of the podium. Looking good still. Blake Chapman, Aiden Young, 3/10 separate them. 5 to go. And Lacey could be your first repeat winner of the season. He had pill draw number 2 tonight. And was able to win his heat to start 2nd in heat race number 2. Works on Schaefer, now works on Barry Goldner. Shouldn't be an issue there one bit. 3 laps to go for Brennan Lacey. As he sparks the wall for just a bit. Let's go to the race for 3rd still. Blake Chapman, Aiden Young could even add Joseph Grandy to this equation too. He could get 4th here by the time they come to the 2 sticks. Not just yet. Lacey, meanwhile, a straightaway lead on Patrick Spangler. White is out, 1 to go for Brennan Lacey. Missed last week, couldn't race with us, so he uses his drop, but could still be a threat for the championship. Off of turn 4, 2nd win of the season, checkered flag, Brennan Lacey. Spangler 2nd, a race for 3rd. Chapman edges out Grandy. We'll watch the replay. Our gap has it as 5 thousandths of a second, and Aiden Young takes 3rd. Chad Cote, your hard charger, from 20th to 7th. And let's go to our photo finish cam. I was in turn 1. Get it to you here. Man, Grandy had a good car to fight back. How close can you get right there? So it wasn't really 5 thousandths of a second. It was 5 thousandths at our SDK point. Officially, it is 16 thousandths. So your top 3 are in the chat, some of the top 3. And we will begin with the proceedings by talking with the salesman and Blake Chapman. Blake, I got to ask you, how much fun was that race for 3rd in the final laps?
Yeah, it was tough, Marty. I was just trying to hold on. Felt like the car wasn't great tonight. Felt pretty good in the heat race, but come feature time, I just felt like I had no drive at all off coming off those corners, and trying to keep my momentum up was a bit of a struggle. Probably should have put more gear in it, but that's an adjustment I'll make for next time, and hopefully be a little bit better.
Were you surprised that Joseph Grandy was able to rebound into the 4th position after he hit that wall really hard after a slide job coming off turn 2?
Yeah, I saw him hit the wall. I didn't know how far he fell back or how much damage he had. I figured he had to have some damage, but then he was putting pressure on me at the end there, and I was kind of surprised to see him there. But I gotta shout him out. He raced me clean for that spot. He definitely could have just put me in the wall if he wanted to, but he raced me clean, and I appreciate that. And you got a lot of guys in this league that race like that, just really clean but also hard at the same time, and it makes for great racing.
For sure. Well, it's back-to-back podiums for you on the season. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
I gotta give shout out my parents and grandparents for watching and supporting. Uh, gotta shout out the boys down at the Kreitz Sim Racing Team, the Can-Am Racing Team. Of course, head over to the Galen's Gourmet Popcorn to get your popcorn. 15% off. Use code CART, C-A-R-T at checkout. They got some delicious popcorn, and I gotta thank you for putting this on, Marty.
Dean's probably freaking out right now over that popcorn in the chat. So, all right, man, we'll let you go. Great job tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Marty.
That's the salesman, Blake Chapman, our third-place finisher. To our second-place finisher, we go, and Patrick Spangler. Patrick, you got outdone on the high side by Brennan Lacey. Were you surprised at that?
Yeah, he did good here last season too, but I saw Ross had a tough time in the heat race, and I think he's leading points secondly with the 2 drop weeks right now. So I knew he was having a rough day, and he got in that wreck. So I was trying to preserve the X's, but obviously that didn't work out because I got into it with Dickens there. I know he was running the bottom the first couple laps, and then this his first time trying the high side, so I think I just came in and he was slower. But yeah, I didn't mean to get into him, but yeah, just a good solid race. I was trying to keep the X's low and capitalize on the Ross having a bad night.
Absolutely. I guess following up on that perspective, were you just trying to set up a slide job, or were you just expecting them to clear you so you could get the high side back?
On Dickens?
Yes.
Yeah, like because after the start, he went down low, and then he went down the backstretch. He came up in front of me, and I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna try high. And then I thought he got into the wall because I tried laying off him, and I was just sliding, like I was off the gas and just got into the side of him. Went back to watch it. It looked like he was off the gas or something. I don't know, but yeah, just unfortunate.
Yeah, we're showing that right. You're showing the contact right there. But hey, another good run for you tonight. I believe you extend the points lead. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Just you for always putting on the good broadcast. Roger on the league. Triangles Racing at Wilson and Grandy in here. Run good races. Lacey for keeping it clean up front there, and having at least he didn't run away from me tonight like usual. Like I was able to see him the entire race, so that was nice. And Dad and Uncle back home watching.
All right, man. We'll let you go. Congratulations. Great run. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
And now we go to Extreme E-Speed TV Victory Lane. Let's talk with your winner. Brennan Lacey gets it, John. Brennan, you stole Spangler's highline. I think it may be time to retire the Lacey nickname, the Lowline Lacey nickname. You can do it anywhere now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that set's always gonna be there when I need it. But I'm starting to venture up a little bit more, and I'm finding more speed up back on the top again. So I'm kind of doing a little switcheroo, especially at these bigger tracks. I know that momentum's a big thing. I got that slider line working in 3 and 4, and that really helped me tonight. If I couldn't have got that down, I don't think we could have had very much there. But yeah, we're moving up there, so we'll see if we can keep this momentum rolling here. It took a couple weeks off, but here we are.
I think the big thing that won you this race tonight was probably your pill draw. You drew 2. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's hard. It's easy in a heat race to draw a pole in the heat, and then be able to get it on a matted up racetrack. Just go up to the fence, let it ride, and then you get starting second, which is ideal starting position for a place like this. I know the first couple starts I was kind of slacking behind a little bit, trying to get the car under me and get some fuel burn. But once that happened, we were able to go up there and just set sail, which is that's what we like to see there.
Well, next week for Monday Night Madness, we go to, I believe this is the first time we've gone to this track on Monday nights, but we go to Lincoln Speedway. What's the outlook look like?
Yeah, that's one of the ones on my list. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be I know in hometowns you could get 2 grooves rolling when we were running fixed stuff, so I'm really excited to see what these things can do with an open set and see what we can do. But might have to get with old crew chief and see if we can get some set dialed in there. But he'll be back next week. Had to work tonight, but luckily enough he got it done. Told me how to run it and what set to run. So big shout out to him for that as well.
Is that a track as well that you would say is probably similar to Talladega, or not Talladega? I wish it was similar to Talladega. Would you say it's a little similar to I-55?
I would say in 3 and 4. 3 and 4's got a little bit of that bank game to it. You can run the top and make it eat, but 1 and 2 is its own animal. It's you get it to the top and it just flattens off, and that wall is going to be there before you know it. So it's one of those that we got to get into turn 1, but when it gets slicked off, you got to woe them things way up to get them to stick where you want them to. So it'll be interesting to see if we can get some laps in there at the start, but should make for a good show.
Who do you want to give shout outs to on the run?
Big shout out to Vanderbilt as always. Big shout out to Jesse too for coming in spotting for me tonight. That's fantastic as well to have him helping me keep me calm. Big shout out to Goldner at work for telling me what set to run and what line to run there. That really paid off as well. Shout out to Ross, Velocity Race Designs, Dirt Gangster Apparel, Dirt Doctor Trucking, Biola.com, Wagaman Bros, Moon Racing Engines, all the sponsors help us get this thing done.
All right, man. We'll let you go. Congratulations. You're the first repeat winner of Renegades this season. Nice job.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Brennan Lacey, your winner in Extreme eSpeed TV Victory Lane. Extreme eSpeed TV, an official broadcaster of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Your results from tonight look like this. Brennan Lacey the win. Patrick Spangler second. Blake Chapman third. Fourth to Joseph Grandy. Fifth, Aiden Young. John Short sixth. Jad Cote seventh. Jack Clevenger eighth. Randy Shreves ninth. And Tyler Wilson finished 10th. Shout out to Terry Landis and Roger Craig too. They each started 21st to 22nd, and were able to go up 10 positions. You had 16 drivers finish on the lead lap. A couple of drivers that DNF'd from the race. You see them in the bottom three: Ross Carino, Preston Cranmer, and Brian Dickens. So that pretty much will do it for us this evening. Here's a look at the schedule, rest of the week and next week, presented by Dylan Westbrook Racing. Tomorrow night, Topside Tuesday, you've got the late models at Cedar Lake and the truck series at Talladega. Keep in mind that truck race is not a trail race. Broadcast begins at 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the Hometown Heroes, you've got the sprint cars at Knoxville, and then the late model cars tour at Oxford. Thursday Night Thunder, you've got the small and big blocks at Limaland, and the Xfinity Trail heads to Talladega. Next week for us on Monday Night Madness, we just mentioned we go to Lincoln Speedway, and then Tuesday through Thursday, Super Dirt Week, the Chris Yackler Memorial Second Annual Super Dirt Week for Mission 22. So that'll do it for us on behalf of the Coast to Coast Racing League and all the fine drivers and sponsors. Roger Craig, Preston Nate Cranmer, and their fine group of admins. On behalf of John Hine in the Rebels booth with me, Marty Scala signing off. Congratulations to your winners this season, winners tonight. Jacob Masso, Trent Verstraeten, and Brennan Lacey. So long, everyone.